Okay, we're back at it again. We are going to go through a few common nodes that you'll find yourself using in Fusion. We have the scene from before. So if we take a moment, grab the transform node, for example. Yeah. So for example, these are just different streams, right? So this one just has the rock alpha. This one's pretty much the same, just the halo, etc., etc. So if we were to take this transfer node or transform node, put it down here, take a look here and say, okay, over here you see we have transform information. We can change the size. Let me just make sure this is the one. We can change the size. We can change the aspect, which is the ratio of length times width. Length times width. That's hard to say. Change the angle or the rotation. You can flip it. See? Or up and down. This one. Wrap. So infinite wrapping. So even when you push it over there, you still see it in other windows. That's an option. Not sure what duplicate does, but you have mirror as well. So yeah, bring that back to canvas. But yeah, you have all these options, and this allows you to, you can also key it. These little dots allow you to key. So here's my timeline. If I go to here, and I key XY transform, I go here, and then I move it again. Now we're going to have up and down motion. I move it here. Also have that motion. Up, down, left, right. So that's what the transform does. We've already covered the color correction, but in case you've forgotten, let's see. So of course you can plug in a mask. That can be your RGB ID. For example, if we're just grabbing the rock, you can do that. So now the hue, of course, changes the hue, so making it more purple, making it more green. You can shift the hue this way. Saturation, how punchy the colors are. So it's like a bright neon purple or like a washed out gray. You know, you get all these things in this slider. Contrast, this one's very sensitive, but you can crunch the contrast pretty easily. You can increase the gain, lift it up, adjust gamma, brightness, all these things. The merge node we went over as well, so we're going to skip that, but that's for bringing one over the other or one under the other. For example, here, see, you can multiply, darken, normal, over, in, and you can go through all the different blending nodes. I'm sure the documentation goes through that. We talked about maps, so the bitmap, polygon, all these different maps, or masks rather. We have a whole group of masks here, the polygon mask, which you can just kind of draw out a shape, which we showed in the last one. B-spline is the same, but you're clicking dots. Here, let me show you. So with this one, you're doing this, and every time you click, it rounds it out. Then you terminate it, and boom, you have your polygon shape. And now you can move this around by frame. You know, you can use it for rotoscoping. Having everything within the white will be affected, and everything outside will not be affected. So for example, if you look here, this is only getting merged where that circle was. So I move it. Whoa, cool, right? So that's what masks do. This is the B-spline. If we see tools, mask, bitmap, we went over B-spline, ellipse, that's just a circle. Mask paint. This is for, essentially it's a roto paint node. You can paint. We'll show you what that is. So now have these tools up here. Multi-stroke, select, stroke, polyline, a bunch of options. But say, for example, I color like this. So tell me what the stroke duration is as well. For one frame, for, however many frames. That's how long I'll see it. So if I move forward, see? It stays on screen, stays on screen, stays on screen until those frames are up. And you should adjust the size. So now you have more. It's going to last for a certain amount before it disappears. So not actually use these in this program, but these are just a sampler. So, go through, look at the documentation, see which ones you need, how they work. Sure, these work a little different than in Nuke or in After Effects, so, take the time and read it up or what have you. Text. So here we have our text. So I believe that there is text plus. That's the one. So this is exactly what it sounds like. Let's just merge this over, get rid of this. Let's make that black. This is on the background, this is on the foreground. There we go. Flipped it with just Control T. So yeah, so you get your text here. You're able to, with that text plus, you're able to put text in your composition, and you can change the font. You can change the size, tracking, line spacing, and everything you see a diamond beside you can key. So again, if I go to like 40, for example, key the track, go to 60, go like this. Now from 40 to 60, the words just spread out. Pretty cool. And of course you have all these other settings. Based on your need, you can sort of play around with it. Let me delete this. Okay, so that's text. Wireless link. So if you work in Nuke, you'll probably be familiar with the postage stamp. Wireless link works very much like that, but in a slightly different way. So let me pull that up. Wireless link. So when you go to look at it, there's nothing there. That's because you have to put an input in there. This input could be anything. It can be an image like this. So for example, I would just hit F2 to get the name. And then I paste this, copy, Control V, paste. And now all of a sudden when I switch, oh wait, loader 2, it would be the complete name. There we go, yeah. So whatever it's called, loader 2 it is here. So now when I like, for example, I can go to maybe this, and then this, and this is a copy of whichever name is placed up in here. So if you have a comp where you're referring to a bunch of different, well, if you're referring to the same node in a bunch of different places, this can be a more simple way of going about that. Absolutely. Remove that. So next up is the grade node. This might be one of the nodes that you get off of out of Reactor, but I'm not sure. If you don't see it, it's in there. Because as mentioned before, I downloaded a bunch of presets. But let's go here, grab a grade node. Here we are. So with the grade node, same as what you expect. Black point we can dial up and down. If you're trying to crush the blacks and kind of get a more contrasty comp, this would be the way. White point as well. More washed out. Lifting the values overall, just as a whole. And these are things that you would do with discernment. The gain, bring down the gain, which is bringing it down overall, bring down all the colors. Multiply, similar. offset and gamma. Of course, you know, gamma, you can do all kinds of things with it. So yeah, you have all these options. The saver and the loader. The loader is, again, as we mentioned, what brings in these files. So you see that it always comes with a file name. And this is pointing to the image that it's loading. The saver, of course, is this one here. And you can say, oh, I want to save it in this directory as an EXR or a PNG. And that's what you do. And then you finally go up here and render. But without a saver, nothing is going to come out. You can be like, oh, what's wrong with my comp? I have everything the way I want it to be, but nothing's coming out. Have you put a saver at the bottom? Because it's kind of like when you're a plumber. You have the stream. It's going from the top floor to the bottom floor. But, you know, you need something to lead it out into the sewer. Because if you don't, it's just going to stay in your house, which no one wants, right? So having a saver is what allows you to, you know, save things out. Channel Boolean, we talked about as well in the previous video. That's how you can separate out certain channels, or, you know, copy or add or subtract. So it's somewhere between a shuffle node, shuffle to get all the greens or to get all the reds, and also something kind of like a merge node. It can function both ways. It's a bit of a hybrid. Then of course we have our, let's see what we got here, brightness contrast. Brightness contrast. So this here, again, this is kind of like a grade node, but, you know, less knobs. Your lift, your gamma, you know, this brings it back to default, by the way, the little dot. So, you know, gamma go up, gamma go down. Contrast, bring this back, contrast. You know, so when you're dialing in these things, you really want to be gingerly, because it's very easy to make something look bad by pushing the number too high or too low. Saturation, whoa, very, very old-timey, isn't it? So that is your brightness contrast. Now another thing that we have here is that background. What we'll do here, again, Control T to flip it around, because we want this to be in front, in the foreground. We want this to be the background because it's called a background. It's black, but let's make it something a little cooler looking. Let's maybe make it a nice little, something like that, just for example purposes. Hit 1, and now you have it over the background. The only issue is the framing is incorrect compared to what we have here. This is 1920 by 1920. This one is 1920 by 1080. So how do we adjust to this? Here we go, under image. We can adjust it to 1920 by 1920. And now, correctly, it corresponds with the foreground. Now if you go to, there's supposed to be a settings, preferences, there we go. Okay, so preferences, frame format. You can set this on the composition or globally. So every time you open a file, it'll, stay that way. So if I stay 1920, say save. All right. Now when I make a new background, it'll automatically be 1920 by 1920. You'll see? So that's useful. But yeah, that's the point. And of course you can also, as with anything, you can even key the color. So let me show you something kind of cool. Set a key there, right? And then let's make it pink. Oh, should have moved the keyframe first. Let's make it back to green, right? So now between this and this, it's loading a little bit, but you'll see. See, now the color is changing. Now if we play it back, color is just shifted in that section. So that's kind of cool. That's what the background node does. And we touched on it, I think, the last time, but just in case we didn't, let's do a blur. We know what a blur is. We've got different types of blur, don't we? Soft, okay, these are glows, but blur, depth blur, directional blur. I think this one might be some sort of a download, but inherent, we have the blur. Just bring that in here. We look at the blur. See, does something happen automatically? Yeah, we get a little bit of that blur going on. And of course, we can adjust the blur size until it's just one big blotch, right? So these are a few pretty neat nodes that you probably will find yourself using quite a bit. Some in conjunction. For the next video, I'll be showing you just the comp for this project. That'll be the final video in this series. So you can see how I use each of these nodes, and some other ones. Some of them are ones that I've bought as macros or downloaded from the We Suck Less website because they have macros people provide. But you'll be able to kind of get a better idea of what it is that I do and how you can potentially chain these things together to make something nice. All right, well, that's that. Thank you.